Hi, it's my pleasure to introduce the Real Estate Development Matrix. My name is Norm Miller. I'm doing this in behalf of Dan Kohep, who developed the Real Estate Development Matrix. Dan is a PhD from Ohio State University, an academic, and a developer with a long, successful track record. He's taken his years of development experience and put together a matrix which explains both the stages of development over time as well as via their functions. And we have something here that combines both a chronological stage view and a task view of what it takes to successfully answer all the questions involved in the real estate development process. What I want to point out to you first of all is that this website right here is realestatedevelopmentmatrix.com. There is HTTP : but there's no www with this particular website. So it's realestatedevelopmentmatrix.com without the www. I also want to point out that the development matrix starts right here where you see the cursor, and that's where I am right now. But I could go to using the matrix, which this particular audio is really about. And what I'm going to do is do that in just a second. We also have more information on the development process, more of a PowerPoint. We have it explained here by type of property. There's a handbook embedded in this website with more information, and Dan's contact information is also provided here. But let's go ahead and take a look at the Real Estate Development Matrix. I'm going to bring it down a little bit. And what you'll notice on the left side are major tasks: acquisition, financing, market studies and marketing strategies, environmental and due diligence items, approvals and permits, and physical improvements. And you can think of these as tasks and also functional areas that you need to resolve to go forth with a development project. You can look at these stages, which are more chronological. At the top: land banking, land packaging, land development, building development, operating the building, holding it or renovating it as it gets older, redeveloping it at some stage. So you can view this as the whole life cycle of a development project, including operations and redevelopment. So it's a very long-term view for these last columns. And then in each of these cells we have information about the decisions that have to be made for that particular task and stage. And so if you click on these and explore these, you're going to find a fair amount of information here that is very useful, and an explanation of the key decision points, and then additional resources in almost every case. So let's go ahead and X this one out and go back here. And instead of going through all the cells right now, which is what you should do if you want to know more about development, let's go to using the matrix and take a quick look at that. In terms of how to use the matrix, we have an overview of the stages and the task here, and then we have these 56 cells, and again the stages of development go across and the tasks go down. It's not exactly a perfect chronological sequence. In some cases there's a lot of overlapping work being done at the same time. And we need to keep that in mind. But if you understand where you're headed, you should be able to backtrack and reverse engineer what you need to do with various lead times. And of course those lead times will vary depending on how long the stage takes, and also entitlement and legal processes. The last thing I want to show you quickly is the fact that we have a team of people involved in the development process. Of course, there's going to be designers and engineers and land planners, but there's also bankers and lenders and lawyers and brokers and appraisers. Engineers here could also include designers and civil engineers and land planners. We have contractors and we have market researchers. So this is not an exhaustive list of the team, if you will, but it's a good representation of some of the major players involved. And with that, I'm going to go back to the development matrix. I think I'll hit development process here. Suggest you take a look at this as well. And here again we see this life cycle of a building laid out. And we also have some information here about decisions, whether you go forth or stop, go forth and stop after you add information in your development feasibility analysis. And this is explained here in more detail in the handbook. So I'm going to go back to the matrix. I'm going to suggest you take a look at these resources when you get a chance. Dan's contact information can be found here at the end. And I thank you very much.